We're here in New York City because back in 1992, this is where the story of Resin X began. I was at that time working as a fusing machine technician, and I learned a lot about the machines and the challenges that they have to overcome. One of the big problems I saw was the fusible inner lining adhesive would contaminate the Teflon-coated conveyor belts. This can cause problems of parts possibly sticking in the machine, and if that adhesive gets on the face of a fabric, it's virtually ruined. It's almost impossible to remove from the face of the fabric. So I developed Resin X fusing machine belt cleaner to remove the adhesible residue from the Teflon coated belts and also leave a slippery conditioned effect that will prevent future sticking. So today I'd like to show you how to properly clean your fusing machine and maximize the life of your Teflon coated belt. We're talking about Resin X belt cleaner and how it works. The idea is to make the Teflon so slippery that any contamination, any of the adhesive from the inner lining will not be able to stick to the Teflon belt. And so that's the principle behind Resin X belt cleaner. Now, one of the things you should be aware of is, why does the belt get dirty? Lots of times the cause of the contamination to the Teflon belt is that perhaps the inner lining may be cut exactly the same size as the parts or even bigger. And if that happens, then the adhesive is exposed directly to the belt, and clearly that's going to cause a big contamination issue. Now, even if you're very careful and you make sure that the parts are aligned accurately and that there shouldn't be any overhanging inner lining, you can still have a problem because sometimes the adhesive can bleed back through the back of the inner lining and get onto the belt. So that could be caused by the inner lining itself. It could be excessive heat on the fusing machine that could be adjusted possibly to reduce strike through. But these are the sources of contamination that you want to try to be conscious of. Okay, here we are. We're going to clean the fusing machines. We've got our Resin X fusing machine belt cleaner, and we're going to sift just a small amount. You can hear this is a powder. It kind of resembles like grated Parmesan cheese or something. We're going to use the small holes, and we're going to just sprinkle a small amount, just a little bit of the Resin X onto the belt as the belt goes by. Now, this fusing machine is at normal operating temperature. The crew has just stopped for lunch, and so during lunch we're going to clean the machine. So when you put this little white powder on, you can see that it starts out as a white powder, but in a matter of seconds it melts and it turns into a clear liquid. And so this clear liquid is going to combine with any contamination on the fusing belt and prevent that adhesive from being able to stick to the Teflon belt. You want to think of the Teflon belt on your fusing machine just like the Teflon on a pan in your kitchen. You know how when you first get a Teflon pan, it's super slippery and nothing wants to stick to it, and that's really wonderful. Well, the same thing's true with Teflon fusing belts. But what happens with Teflon pans and Teflon belts is eventually something sticks on it and you start rubbing it to get it off. And that physical abrasion on the belt will buff up, and it will cause the Teflon to become less smooth. And then since it's now less smooth, then things will want to stick more and you'll scrub more. So the idea with Resin X cleaner and conditioner is to maintain the strong release quality of the Teflon by adding a little bit of the Resin X belt cleaner that will improve the release quality of the Teflon and will reduce the amount of rubbing that you need to do in order to clean it. And so the less rubbing, the better your parts will come off of the machine, and the longer your Teflon coating will last. It's really best to let the Resin X combine with the contamination, and then you want to be careful to wipe in the direction of the belt. And when you're applying the Resin X, you want to use care so that the material doesn't go off the edge of the belt. You want to avoid any of the contamination or the cleaning product from going off the edge of the belt and into the machine. And even right here is another thing, is there's a small hole in the belt, and that's something that you really should patch, because even a small hole in the belt over time will let some contamination and also cleaner get through the belt and into the machine. This could cause contamination to build up on the heat elements and on the rollers inside the machine, and over time can cause some issues. The other thing we'd like to show you is I highly recommend using what we call a cleaning flag. And a cleaning flag is just a bar with some whatever material you have around draped over a little more than a foot, and we'll very carefully just feed it into the front of the machine. And so once we get to the very front here, you'll see that the cleaning flag will just sit there in place. So now it's stopped, and the belt is just very gently and continuously wiping itself on this flag, and you can leave it there for the entire lunch break. And so then once your guys come back, you just gently remove it, and you can see there's very little tension on the flag. There's really very little resistance on the flag, which is just what you want. And the only thing is you do want to be careful to not turn the machine off with the flag in place, because over time, if you're using a flag, and there could be a substantial amount of adhesive that builds up on the flag, and so if you left it in there and the machine cooled down, it could get stuck. So always be sure to remove the flag before you shut the machine off.